Hi, welcome to this video, Dave, which is on the subject of classic trading books. We'll be looking at four today. Now, in terms of these books, if you read the great traders' interviews with them, they'll very often mention these books. Okay, you'll also find them in top tens in terms of the best trading books or the most influential trading books of all time. Now, in terms of the books, they are motivational, they're inspirational, and they'll give you a deep insight into crowd psychology and what it takes to win at Forex trading. Now, the most recent of the four books is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Many of you may have heard of this book. It's often cited as one of the best trading books of all time. It's over 80 years old. And the other books I'm going to look at are even older. Can you learn from these books? The answer is you can. Fantastic, all four of them. Now, the books I've mentioned, obviously, we're looking at Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Edwin Lefebvre about Jesse Livermore's career. The other books we're going to be reviewing are Confusion to Confusion by Joseph de la Vega, The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind by Gustave Le Bon, and finally, Extraordinary Popular Delusions and Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackay. Just going to give a brief summary of each book and what you can expect to learn from it. And just before I go to my reviews of the books, if you wish to subscribe to our channel, just press the little icon in the bottom right of the screen. Also, you can check out our playlists on trading books, and we've got quite a few videos, books related to all aspects of trading, from strategy to psychology to stories of the great traders. And finally, you can join our free mailing list, and we'll send you a lot of Forex education, the best trade setups, and you can join our Facebook group and follow us on Facebook as well. Right, let's go and review the books, and the first one we're going to look at is going to be Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. On Amazon, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. All these books are not very expensive, and this one is under £8. Okay, they're all pretty cheap, but for the wealth of information you get, obviously, from my point of view, well worth the money. And I always think that traders don't read enough. You should read as much as possible. As Charlie Munger said, who's Warren Buffett's partner, I do not know a highly successful trader or investor that doesn't read incessantly. Okay, now, in terms of this book, it was first published back in 1923. It tells the story of Jesse Livermore, one of the great speculators, the most famous speculators of the age, and how he made and lost fortunes. Now, when Lefebvre, who's a great writer, is telling the story, he goes through every cognitive bias that trips up traders and causes them to lose money, and gives the solution. Okay, quotes from the book are just wonderful. Now, if you never traded, just read it before you start, because you are going to make a lot of the mistakes that Livermore made. And when you do, remember the book and remember the solution. Top traders interviewed in Jack Schrager's Market Wizard series, which is a great collection of books to read as well. When the great traders were asked, what is the most influential book for you? Most of them actually said Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. So it really is that good. A lot of people say Jesse Livermore was the greatest trader of all time. I don't think so, actually. He did make fortunes, but he always lost them. Okay, you can't be considered a great trader unless you keep your money. Now, he was aware of the emotions coming in to play and causing his demise. So there's plenty of lessons in the book. Really fantastic read. Right, next book is going to be Confusion to Confusion. Right, Confusion to Confusions, the first book ever written on financial speculation. You can see the date at the top, 1688. Now, do not be put off by its age. This is a brilliant book in my view. It's brilliant, but it's one of the weirdest books I've ever read on trading. The book is actually a discussion between three characters, a merchant, a shareholder, and a philosopher, and they go into the workings of the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, which was the first ever financial market. Only one share was traded, actually. It was Dutch East India Company. They go into the workings of the market, why speculators lose, why they win, etc. It's very humorous as well. Now, in terms of what really struck me about the markets back then is how sophisticated they were. Yeah, you had options trading, you had forward trading, you had hedging going on, you had regulators. Some of the tactics, let's say, used by the great speculators back then, similar today. Now, there are four key rules that come out for trading success. Most traders can't follow them, but you need to if you want to make money from the market. Yeah, a kind of odd book, but I just think it's brilliant. Actually, I did actually see recently one of the original books when it was republished was sold at auction for £30,000. You can get it as a paperback though for just £4.71. Well worth a read. Just brilliant. Yeah, for the time it was written, you read it and just think actually markets have not changed at all. Okay. Next book we are going to look at is going to be Extraordinary Popular Delusions and Madness of Crowds. Right, in terms of this book, first published in 1841 by Charles Mackay, who was a newspaper editor. He was also a musician and a poet. Actually, Joseph de la Vega was a poet as well. Now, in terms of Mackay's book, it's one of the books that I just love. I've read it so many times. Again, it's rated by top traders. I actually saw it was a required reading in a hedge fund in terms of learning the psychology of people and just how they get deluded, not just in financial markets. Mackay covers a lot of areas in life where we get kind of deluded and do stupid things. Now, in terms of the financial bubbles he covers three in detail. The Tulip Mania, the Mississippi Madness, and the South Sea Bubble. Now, in those manias, you can actually see reflections today. I'm just going to read this here from the intro text. Okay, Mackay begins by examining various economic bubbles, such as the infamous Tulip Mania. You may have learnt about that at school, wherein Dutch tulips rocketed in value amid claims that they could be substituted for actual currencies. Okay, well, where's the parallel? It's Bitcoin, isn't it? And actually, when the Tulip Mania was on, prices reached their kind of peak. It was during a pandemic when people were locked down, and it was blamed on merchants not having anything to do, sitting around, so they wanted to kind of gamble. Okay, a tulip basically worth the price of a prime house on an Amsterdam canal. Ridiculous for me. I just look at Bitcoin and think the same. People might disagree with me. Mississippi Madness, South Sea Bubble. You can see the tech bubble there. You can see people saying this time it's different, which they always do. When anything runs too far away to the upside or downside, it never is different. Things have to come back to realistic value. He covers just loads of delusions in everyday life as well. He was a very humorous writer. You laugh out loud when you read the book in some passages. Okay, a well-loved book, one of my favourites for sure. You should go and read it. Right, next book we're going to look at, last one, is going to be The Crowd, Studying the Popular Mind by Gustave Le Bon. Right, this book was written back in 1895, published in France. It's on my list. It's not talking really about finance, okay? It's the first ever book on the psychology of crowds that came up with models of crowd behavior. It is a really good book, and in terms of great traders like it, there's plenty. And I saw actually recently in a book I really recommend, What I Learned Losing $1 Million, which I think is another trading classic. It's by Jim Paul and Brendan Moynihan, and they go into his crowd model in detail and say it's essential that you understand it to succeed in financial markets. I think they're right. So the stages that crowds go through in terms of how a crowd can reach a peak of euphoria, then it breaks. yeah, it won't go out of date. In terms of the book, there's a little comment in the book about manipulation of crowds by governments, for example, and how the media can manipulate crowds. Well, we still get that today, don't we? If you look at financial markets, when you've got a big bull market to the upside, look at the media. They're always the most bullish when the market is at its top, and they're always most bearish when the market is at or near a bottom. Okay, it's a bit of a hard read. When I say hard read, it's not an easy read. He's not exactly very witty. It's kind of a drier style. It's not like the books I mentioned earlier on, but it is a classic. Okay, now in terms, just to finish up, in terms of how good Le Bon was at studying crowds, on the back of a book, you get glowing recommendations from people. There's two people who you'd know, probably, who would definitely write a glowing recommendation for this book. They would have been Adolf Hitler and Joseph Goebbels. Why? Because this book was used by the Nazi Party as a blueprint to indoctrinate and manipulate the German people. So yeah, just a fact to finish up with. Doesn't really have anything to do with financial markets, though, does it? But yes, it just shows how influential the book is. Okay, so I think all four books are worth reading. And yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, all these books you've just gone through, they're old. Don't need to read them." Well, the great traders read them, so they're good enough for them. They're good enough for you, and they will motivate and inspire you because crowd behavior never changes. Psychology of humans never changes. You've got to get away from the crowd, be an individual, and you've got to have the right psychology and fight your emotions. Right, they're my four classics. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good day.